Thank you, April Parker, for joining us today for this interview. We're so excited to be honoring you as a community change agent. Can you tell us a bit about your business and time as an entrepreneur?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. It's such an honor. I often tell people that I've been in love with business and hip hop since I was 5 years old. Growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, there was just something inside of me that was curious. It was curious about how things were sold and how could people afford to make things and sell them for a price that still allowed them to make it. So I've been curious about business all of my life. I actually started my first business at 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. There was, I think during that time, the price of sugar must have gone up. And there was a lady in my project building in Baltimore, Maryland, that sold candy. We called her the penny candy lady. And she sold penny candy for a penny, and my favorite treat, which was frozen cups, which was Kool-Aid in a styrofoam cup. And it would never freeze all the way to the bottom, so it was really crunchy and mushy at the bottom. It was the best. And they were 25 cents, but one year she decided that it was going to be 50 cents. And my sense of justice said, I'm going to start my own business. Not that I knew it was a business, but I got $5 from my mom. And yeah, I competed that summer. And at the end of the summer, I sold my frozen cups for 25 cents. And so that was my first taste at providing a product or service in exchange for money.
Wow, that's incredible that you started that so young. We're so intrigued by that process.
Yeah.
What were some of the factors that contributed to you making the switch from business executive to a nonprofit leader?
I'm a problem solver. So I think in every job that I took, initially I was taking jobs to gain knowledge. At the end of the day, I never felt like I was making an impact on people. And one day here in Long Beach, I was driving to my office and I had an encounter with a lady who was on the bus stop crying. And the spirit just led me to stop and see what this lady's issue was. And I invited her in my car. And when I spoke to her, she was saying that she was supposed to move into a housing and somehow she went to go get the keys and her income verification had changed and she was a $50 variance and she was just devastated. And when I asked her, well, what do you need to do now to get it? She, full of tears, said, I have no idea. She told me no. And being a problem solver, I normally try to jump over no's to get to yes. That's kind of what I think my superpower is, finding out how to get to yes. And so I asked her if I could help her. And within 48 hours, after making a few phone calls, didn't have to give her any money or anything. It was just understanding what that person needed to tell her yes and helping her to get what they needed in order for them to tell her yes. And from there, God really just moved my heart. I felt like the shackles in my eyes had fallen off, and I could see that was just an example of one person in the community, but it was a story of so many others. And so we decided that we were going to help people, just help them. Initially, we were going to give out scholarships, but we quickly found out that everyone that we wanted to give a scholarship to also needed other resources. And so we just started without having formal programming. We didn't mean to start a company, an organization. We just literally wanted to be in service of people. I'm one of the founders of a company called Eat and Body Works, resulted in me having some cash that I needed to invest. And I decided on that day that there was no greater investment than the investment in people. We had no contracts. We had no formal programming. We just made little flyers and said, if you have a problem, let us be thought partners with you.
When did you realize that community was an important part of life for you?
Honestly, being here in Long Beach, during the COVID outreach times, the power of just meeting someone's basic need. I saw it, I grew up very poor in Baltimore City. And my mother modeled this. My mother had very little, but she was always stopping to see the needs of other people. And here in community, I've never been around more people dedicated to solving social problems, economic problems, health problems for other people in my entire life. And so I know I'm in the right place. When I talk to people in this community, even if our approaches or our methods don't align, I think the heart of what we want to do is there. I love seeing the faces of people that are working towards the same outcomes that I am, and it empowers me. It gives me life. It really does.
Can you name a few of your lifetime goals or achievements?
The ones that I have left, well, my life's goal is to please God. That's it. I am fortunate that all of my personal goals, I've pretty much achieved them, right? Through a lot of hard work, a lot of struggles, my life by no means has been perfect. And so I am in a place of pure service. I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm not trying to achieve anything but improving the outcomes of the people that walk alongside me. And so that's my goal. I want to build affordable housing. I'm a certified developer of color. And so I look forward to building. We're building a 74-unit property on Long Beach Boulevard, fully entitled. And so I'm looking forward to walking in that door with transitional age youth, age 18 to 30 years old, and giving them a place to call home. I'm looking forward to all the amazing opportunities. I wake up every day in anticipation of what is next.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a bit about the April Parker Foundation and its role in addressing the disparities faced by Black, Indigenous, and people of color?
So I want to make it known that I love all people, right? I center myself around Black people because I feel like we need the most support. There's a lot that we need to learn how to support. There's a bit of learned helplessness that we encounter. My foundation helps everyone. We center Black people. I write programs to directly support Black people. But we've developed 4 pillars, and these 4 pillars were out of the needs of community. I once had an elected a few years ago told me, April, you need to pick a lane, right? You're working with youth, you're working with seniors, pick a lane. And I said, well, but my people are in all of these lanes, and their needs cross all of them, and until I can find a warm handoff, we're gonna just do the work. And so we have 4 pillars in our organization. One of them is AP Cares, and that's social case management. Normally people get case managers when they're in need or when they're in some type of program, but our case management services are for everyone. You have a problem, you need help, you have an emergency, you need funding, you need access to a resource. We stand alongside people and help them overcome those obstacles. And that's what AP Cares does, along with giving out. We still give out scholarships. And then we have AP Works, where we come alongside businesses and evaluate them and help them to be transparent so that they can prepare themselves for growth. A lot of organizations that we saw when there was funds being given out for COVID, they weren't eligible. And so we help businesses, small businesses, to evaluate their businesses and give them mentorship and guidance on how to be ready, because funding is coming, opportunity is coming, but if you're not ready for it, it's gonna go right past you. And so that's AP Works. And then there's AP Health, where we are doing health outreach, health education, and helping people find providers, whether it's physical or mental health, that affirm them, whether affirm them their gender identities, affirm their cultural identities, and affirm them even if they have disabilities. And so it is very hard. I have a lot of health care. I'm a veteran, I'm a disabled veteran, so I have service, but it is extremely hard to find a provider that sees you. And I've personally had those issues. And although I think the city and the county does a great job at making the funds available for these resources, it's us getting access and navigating and overcoming the barriers to them. So we're gap fillers. We stand in that gap to help community get to the resources because they are there. And I believe it's done with intentionality. And then we have our AP Homes program. We initially started with resident services, basically going into developments and providing services. And it has grown. We are scheduled to build our own housing. We provide rapid rehousing. So people would come to us and they would have one issue. But then when you peeled it back, these people are also about to lose their homes because they missed one payment because they had to take care of a sick loved one during COVID. And in so many stories, people, I really want the community to see homelessness and, I'm calling out to my media friends to say we need to show people what our unhoused residents look like. The ones that I've met are so far from the stories that I hear on the news, right? These are people who have worked 25, 30, 40 years of their life committed to service in their communities, and for one reason or another lost their jobs and couldn't recover, and now they're living by the river. These are decent human beings. I'd like to erase the story that people that are unhoused are violent or drug addicts. I had a young lady said that say to me, all of my life I was against drugs, but it is the only thing that helps me to cope when I can't feel my feet at night because it's so cold outside. That you can understand that, right? You can understand it. And so they are our community. They're a part of our community. And I'm looking forward to working alongside our community partners in our government to help resolve this issue of homelessness and to bring people home, to restore dignity to these people. These are our brothers. These are our mothers and grandmothers and sisters and brothers. These are not homeless people. These are our neighbors. And that's the message. And I wholeheartedly believe that. People just need a chance. People just need someone to believe in them. We've made a lot of promises, and a lot of them have fallen through. But we need to stand beside them and hold their hands and say, I got you. I got you. We're gonna figure this out together. And so that's the work I'm proud of and proud to be a part of.
That's powerful work that you're doing.
Thank you.
So a lot of the work that you do is community-based, but what does it mean to be a community leader to you?
I think we have some amazing community leaders, and I think some people have to pave the way. Some people have to knock down the trees. Some people have to lay the foundation, and some people have to build. And so I think leadership looks different depending on what your purpose is. For me, leadership in my organization looks like setting a very clear vision for my team and the expectations of my partners, right? And that vision for me is to overcome obstacles, to help people actually thrive. I don't write grant applications and win contracts just to somehow provide revenue for the organization. I literally have to see change. I literally want things to actually work, and I'm going to push and do everything I can to make it happen by getting the right people, by developing the right processes and procedures, and designing amazing programs. People are already doing the work. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing, the work has already been done. It's already been modeled. We're just formalizing it. I have a corporate background, and so I think the secret is I run my foundation like a corporation, right? I have a CFO, I have a chief legal officer, and those were investments, and it took time to get there, right? But in order for something to be sustainable, it has to have a structure to support it. And so the way that I'm able to lead is because I've built a team, and that team is helping me to achieve the outcomes that we've promised.
Yes.
So,
can I ask, what caused you to want to join the U.S. Army and give back in that way?
Interesting. I don't know if you guys will actually air this, but in Baltimore, Maryland, in the 90s, there was a drug epidemic. And so when I grew up, people, we had our neighborhood drug dealers, and they never messed with the kids. And, it was kind of like, and when you're in the hood, it just works, right? But a new breed of drug dealers from New York came into our town, and they were vicious. I witnessed children being used as body shields. I witnessed people's homes being burnt to the ground because they wouldn't allow people to sell drugs out of their homes. And I was afraid. I was in college. I actually graduated high school when I was 16 because I actually went to school during the summer, and when I was in 11th grade, they said, we're sorry, but you have too many credits, you have to graduate. And so I was in college right at 16. And getting to college, walking the streets of Baltimore, I felt as though my life was in danger. And so when presented with the opportunity, I actually felt that the Army would be a safer bet. And so I joined. So joining the Army was a choice I made to escape the severe poverty and crime that was surrounding my neighborhood. I lived in areas where most of the buildings, most of the row houses were abandoned, and you know, drug addicts and zombies walked around the streets. And it just, when I envisioned the life that I felt was deep in my Noah, I said this couldn't be the place, and so I left.
Wow, that's just wow. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm going to ask you, what do you think the biggest factor is when it comes to increasing the educational success for people of color?
I think people have to be curious. As people of color, we tend to look at institutions and issues, although very real, and sometimes we're fighting a fight and we're not strengthening ourselves along the way. Education is not power. Knowledge is power. Education is the vehicle in which you get knowledge. And so I think that if we become more curious and be more self-responsible and not fight against, even when we fight against the systems, we still have to take care of ourselves. So if going to college isn't your pathway, then commit to how you're going to fill your mind with knowledge. I have this thing in my house, and I'm a mom of 7 or 8. I just finalized an adoption on Tuesday, and my home is always growing, so I always got to check on the count. But I tell them, fill your mind with knowledge, because that's something, people can lock you up, people can take your body, but they can never take what you know. That is something you keep forever, and it is the greatest thing that you can obtain, more than wealth. With knowledge, you can have wealth, but you can be wealthy, and without knowledge, you will lose it. You know, be an influencer, be a basketball player. I've met some of the wealthiest people, and sometimes I have pity on them, because I can tell that they don't have knowledge to keep it, and it'll be lost in a generation. And so, yeah, we have to pursue the love of knowledge. Everything that we need to know, every problem we need to solve, people have written about these things. And we just need to read them and learn for ourselves, and then take action. So, curiosity. I'm extremely curious. I question everything. I want to know everything. My kids play video games, and I recently found out about a thing called an NPC, a non-player character. It's just somebody in the game that's just like the computer's controlling it. Mm-hmm. And I believe that sometimes, you know, we become NPCs and we don't realize that we could literally master the game and create our own games.
And then what does Black excellence mean to you?
You know, I think Black excellence is, it is personal. It's when you walk away from something that you're working on or you've done, and you feel good that you have given it everything that you can, that you have looked at every obstacle that you think is there and you've tried to overcome it. Then you know that you have achieved excellence in the domain and for yourself. And so I live my life in pursuit of excellence. Maybe a little too much at times, but I try to do my very best. And when I walk away from something, I am confident that I gave it all. I left it all there, and that's what I think is excellence, Black excellence.
Yeah, our gala theme is legacies and leadership. Can you talk a bit about what that would mean to you?
Legacy and leadership. I think it is a tremendous responsibility and an honor to be someone's leader. That someone would entrust in you to create a pathway and to share their vision with you, and that you would join alongside them to make that vision happen. It is an awesome responsibility that we have when we have children, when we are educators, when we are leaders in our community. And I think to embody that and to know that you have a generation of people looking and depending on you, I think you wake up different. I think you take this life not as an NPC, but as a game master. And we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but it's how we recover from those mistakes, how we learn from those mistakes, how we are vulnerable with each other, how we build trust with each other, how we build each other up. I see you. I see your strength. You're beautiful. And I can say that to you, right? Because I believe it. And we need that amongst ourselves if we are going to be the leaders that we've been called to be.
Thank you. Can you share a piece of advice that was maybe given to you as a student?
I think the piece of advice that sits in my heart that I love to share, it was actually given to me by my father-in-law, John O. Parker Jr. And it's very simple. And my kids, if they see this, they're going to laugh because they know it by heart. If you fail to heed wisdom and instruction, you will reap the bitter consequences of having your own way. And I believe that there are people that have gone before us. Listen to your parents. If there is credible evidence in their lives that they have survived, follow them. Ask them questions. You don't always have to pave the way yourself. Your parents were given to you for a reason. They should have knocked down a few doors and cleared a few roadways that you can probably get a leg up on and get a little further than you could have by yourself. I see that there is this passion to be original, this passion to do it myself, but you can go so much faster and so much further if you first run on the path that was already laid out for you. And then you can define a new path, but at least get to where they are. Get through this one phase and then start opening new doors for other people. Be curious, always look forward, because there's so much. There's no limit to the opportunities that you can create for yourself if you first believe them and create them in your mind and just wake up every day and pursue them. So, yeah.
That's excellent advice. And then my final question for you is, how excited are you for the Black Alumni Scholarship Gala?
First of all, again, I think people think I'm an extrovert, but I spend most of my time at home, reading my Bible, writing proposals, imagining and leading the organization. But I love to dress up, first of all. I love to be amongst people and celebrate, and the fact that someone's actually going to celebrate me, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm normally the behind the scenes person. I know, that my name's on the foundation, but in most of the work I've ever done in my life, I've always allowed other people to have the spotlight, because I love to serve and I love to support. And so it's my season now, and I'm so thankful, and I'm so excited, and I'm probably going to cry because I'm a bit of a crier, but I'm so honored. I'm so honored because it is amazing to be seen, and especially when you do the work not to be seen, it's amazing that someone sees you and they see what you're trying to do. And I'm not trying to kingdom build. I'm trying to be a part of a great kingdom. So. Thank you for this honor.
I and we at Black Scholars see you, and we're very proud of the work you've done.
Thank you.
So, thank you for interviewing with us.
Thank you for having me.